To all the students for this lecture. Today we are going to see the essence of all languages, that is called as grammars. What are grammars? To study any language mathematically, we need a mechanism to describe these languages. Several language definition mechanisms are available to describe the languages, and one of the most powerful one is called as a grammar. As an example, in context of the natural language such as English, English grammar tells us whether a particular sentence is well formed or not. Typical rule of any English grammar is, any sentence is formed from a noun phrase followed with a predicate. So this is a grammatical rule in the English. I have just taken an example. It says any general sentence in English is formed from a noun phrase followed with a predicate. However, this one rule alone won't be enough to deal with the actual sentences. So we are going to see more rules along with these rules. So we will have to define a rule saying that what is a noun phrase. We will also have to define a rule saying that what is a predicate. So let us see that. Noun phrase is formed from an article followed by a noun. And also a predicate can be a verb. So I have introduced two more rules to my original rule. That is, sentence can be formed from noun phrase and predicate. And now further I have defined what is a noun phrase. Noun phrase is formed from an article followed with a noun. Similarly, a predicate is formed from a verb. But again, this is incomplete because I have to further define what is an article, what is a noun, and what is a verb. So I further say that the rule for article is that article is nothing but a, or this bar means or. Article can be a, word called as a, or the word called as the. And there are so many other articles in English. Similarly, I define noun as boy. Boy can be a noun. Dog can be a noun. Peter can be a noun. In fact, name, place, animal, thing, any of these can be noun. So I have written ... to specify that noun list can just go on continuing. Similarly, I have defined verb, rule for verb, that runs, walks, and so on. These are the rules for the verbs. Now, why have I taken only these? Why have I shown you only these? That is because I will be taking a sentence and I will tell you how English grammar finds out whether a given sentence is correct or wrong grammatically. So I have taken only those words which are there in my sentences. But this ... means the list of articles is still there further, list of nouns is still there further, list of verbs also is still there further. Now, the grammar easily tells us that the first sentence is a boy runs and the second sentence is the dog walks. Both these sentences are properly formed, or grammatically correct. How? Let's see. So, for this sentence, say a boy runs, we start with the grammar first rule, that is sentence. Now a sentence can be formed from a noun phrase followed with a predicate, right? The noun phrase further can be replaced with article followed with a noun. Similarly, a predicate can be further broken down into a verb. So noun phrase and predicate can be further replaced with noun phrase is nothing but it is article followed with noun. And predicate is nothing but it's a verb. So we get these three. Then the article itself can be a, the, and so on. Now in this sentence there is a. So article can be substituted with a. Similarly, noun can be boy, dog, Peter, and so on. In this sentence there is boy. So noun can be substituted with boy. And similarly, verb can be substituted with runs, walks, and so on. In this case, there is runs, so verb will be substituted with runs. and that is how we get the sentence a boy runs. Since this sentence abides by the grammatical rules defined by the English, we say that this sentence is grammatically correct, or we say that this sentence is accepted by the English grammar. Okay, now please notice that there are two kind of elements which are there whenever we have rules. Okay, if you see element like article, noun, word, these are something like variables. Okay, so variable is nothing but it is basically a container that can have different values stored, right? Similarly, you see article, you see noun, verb, these are called as part of speech in English. Now at any point of time a noun can be a boy. So in this particular sentence I had a boy here as a word. So noun can be replaced with boy. That means boy is a noun. In some other sentence like this, dog can also be a noun. So at any point of time, this noun, which is a variable, can contain boy, dog, Peter, and this list goes on. So these are called as variables, or they are called as non-terminals of a general grammar. Whereas if you see the, boy, dog, Peter, runs, walks, can this be split further? Okay, can this be expanded further? No, I cannot split a further, the further. These are the final words which are then formed, which are then seen in a English sentence. So all these are called as terminals. Okay, so the, boy, dog, Peter, runs, walks, since this cannot be further replaced with anything, they are the final words in English. So they are called as terminals, whereas article, noun, verb, even here, noun, phrase, predicate, verb, article, noun, whatever I have placed in those angular brackets, they are called as variables, or they are called as non-terminals, right? Also, you see how I have written the rules in English. There is left hand side which can be then replaced with the right hand side. Left hand side which can be then replaced with the right hand side. So in general in English or in any grammar, the rules are, the grammatical rules are always of the form A gives B, where the left hand side A can be replaced easily with the right hand side B. Now, in my previous example with respect to English language, I had defined only 6 rules because I could use only those 6 rules to see whether the 2 sentences that I had taken are correct or no. But now, if we were to give a complete grammar, then in theory, every proper sentence could be explained exactly in this particular way. So let us now go and see a definition of grammar. A grammar G is defined as a quadruple, okay, which can be written as G equal to V T S P, where what is V? I just told you what are variables or non-terminal. So V is nothing but finite set of objects which are called as variables or non-terminals. What is T? T is a finite set of objects called as terminal symbols. S is a special symbol which is called as start symbol, and notice that this S is also a non-terminal. S also belongs to V. V is what? Variable or non-terminal. And finally the P is a finite set of productions. Okay, productions are also called as grammatical rules. Now I will now just compare this with the English grammar and the sentence that I had taken previously. So you see, in the previous sentence, I had taken something called as some text I had taken. For example, I had taken something called as noun phrase. Okay, I had taken something called as verb, something called as article, something called as noun. Okay, and then something called as predicate. What were these? These were just the placeholders. At any point of time, these contain different values, right? For example, I told you noun. Based on what kind of sentence it is or what sentence it is, different nouns can be used. different words can be contained in this noun. So list of nouns will be there, list of predicates will be there, list of articles will be there. So this noun phrase, verb, article, noun, these are something like containers which hold different values at different times. So they are called as, these in English are called as variables or non-terminals, which store different values or different terms at different times. So these are called as variables in English. Then what are terminals? For example, I had written a rule saying that noun at any time can be boy, or it can be Peter, or and so on. So now boy, Peter, these are the values that are contained in the variable called as noun. Can this value be split further? Can you split boy further? Can you categorize boy into something? No. Can you categorize Peter into something? No. So these are the end words. This cannot be split further. So in English, there is something called as terminate. Okay, terminate means to stop here and you cannot go beyond. So all these words which cannot be split further, they are called as terminals. So boy, Peter, this term, they are called as terminals. So whatever words that you will see in English sentence, all of them, all those words are actually the terminal words. And their syntactic categories, like part of speech, they are nothing but they are set of variables or non-terminals. Now, what is S? S is nothing but a special symbol. So you remember in my previous example, this is that example that I had considered. The entire set of rules, everything started with a sentence, right? Sentence can be split into noun, phrase, predicate, and then we defined a rule for noun, phrase, then we defined rule for predicate. But all this started with some initial point, and that was sentence, a general sentence. So in this example, I can say that this sentence, this variable or this non-terminal called as sentence can be a start symbol, because everything starts with the start. And finally, P is nothing but finite set of productions. Okay, so all those rules that I had written in English, they were of the type left hand side implies the right hand side, where if left hand side element is found, that left hand side element can be easily replaced or substituted with the right hand side. So this is how in general X implies Y. This is how a rule is written in English. Okay, generally in any grammar, this rule is also called as a production. Production is just another name for rule, which has left hand side and which has right hand side. At any point of time, left hand side can be replaced with its right hand side without changing the meaning. So what is P? P is finite set of productions in the grammar. So a general grammar G is defined with the four terms here, four tuples. V, set of variables. Okay, they are like container. Variables are also called as non-terminals. T, which are set of terminal symbols. Okay, S, a start symbol. Start symbol is one of the special symbols in the set of variables only or non-terminals only. And finally P, that is finite set of productions. And we also assume that the sets of variables and terminals that we have, they are non-empty and disjoint. Please note that the production rules are the heart of the grammar. Okay, the essence of the grammar lies in its production rules. These production rules specify how the grammar transforms one string into another, and through this they define a language associated with a grammar. The production rules are of the form X implies Y, where X can be a set of variables and non-terminals. So it can be a string formed from terminals and non-terminals. I've written plus on top. It simply means that left hand side element, that is X, it cannot be null. It has to be at least one valid symbol. Whereas on the right hand side, again it could be any combination of variables and terminals and non-terminals, variables and terminals, and on the right hand side the element can be also null. For example, this is a valid production where A is a non-terminal and on the right hand side there is a null string. Null string is formed when this is repeated 0 number of times. But this kind of production is wrong. Left hand side cannot be null, never. So you need to remember this. Given a string w equal to uxv, suppose this string is given, we say the production x implies y is applied to this string. So when this production is applied to this string, and we may use it to replace x with y. So when this is applied to this, x can be replaced with y. Okay, thereby obtaining a new string z such that z can be now written as uyv. So x is replaced with y because of this substitution of production. So this is written as w gives z. That means original string w is transformed into a new string called as z. Notice this symbol that is used by applying the production x implies y. So we say that w derives z. So w derives z, or we can say z is derived from w, okay, using the production x implies y. Successive strings are derived by applying the productions of the grammar in arbitrary order. The productions can be used whenever it is applicable, and it can be applied as often as desired. So if w1 derives w2, then further w2 derives w3, and so on. Finally wn is derived by application of different production rules. Then this, okay, we say that w1 derives wn, and we write w1, see this notation, this is for derives wn, w1 derives wn, and star tells you that w1 does not directly derive wn. There are some definite number of steps, 0 or more number of steps that are taken so that the original string w1 has been transferred to wn. So this star means this derivation has 0 or more steps in between which are not shown. Okay, so this simply means unspecified number of steps that are taken to transform the original string w1 to the final string wn. Finally, we come to a very important point. By applying the production rules in different order, a given grammar can normally generate many strings. Okay? The set of such terminal strings is the language defined or generated by the grammar. So basically, what is a language? So when these production rules are applied in arbitrary in any order, okay, you get strings of different types. Set of such terminal strings is basically the language of that particular grammar. So the languages are obtained from the grammar by application of the production rules within the grammar, some in different order and different number of times. Look at this definition. LG, the language generated by G, contains strings W such that that string is formed from set of terminals, and that how that string is generated. So right from the start symbol, by applying the start production and then subsequently the different productions in some order n number of times, where n is 0 to infinity, you get the word the string W. So this is basically the definition of language. So if W belongs to LG, that means if the string W belongs to the language, then the sequence starting with the start production to derive W1, then another production is applied so that W2 is derived, then another production is applied so that W3, and so on is applied. Finally you should be able to get W. So from S, if we are able to get W, then we can say that this string belongs to the language. That's the meaning of this. Okay, so this is called as derivation of a sentence W or derivation of a string W in the language. Having seen what are grammars in general, let us come back to regular grammars. Okay, another way of describing regular languages is by means of certain simple grammars. We have already seen how regular languages can be expressed with respect to the regular expressions. They can be also represented using the automatas. So if a given string is accepted by an automata which is designed for a particular language, we say that string belongs to the language. Okay, so another way of describing the regular language is by the means of simple grammars. Grammars that generate regular languages. Okay, so let's see which grammar generate regular languages. So let's see a definition. A grammar G, VTSP, is said to be right linear if all the production in it are of the form A gives XB or A gives X. Okay, where A and B are set of variables or non-terminals and X is a string formed from terminals. So in general, what is right linear grammar? Right linear grammar is the one wherein all the production in it are of the form A gives XB. Now look at this, it simply means that the production should be such that on the right hand side of the production there should be at the most one non-terminal. Okay, there should be at the most one non-terminal, and that too, that non-terminal should occur on the rightmost side because it is right linear. So there is only one non-terminal here now, B, and that occurs on the rightmost side of this particular term. So that's why this is right linear. Okay, it can also happen that there are no non-terminals on the right hand side, like in this case. Okay, and there is a single terminal on the right hand side. So if all the productions in the grammar are either of this type or this type, then that grammar is called as right linear. Okay, then you also have something called as left linear grammar. A grammar is said to be left linear if all the production in it are of the form A gives Bx, A gives X. Now this is exactly opposite to what I said about right linear. Now this is left linear. So on the right hand side of the production, at the most there can be one non-terminal, and that too, that non-terminal should occur on the leftmost side of that term because it is left linear. Or if there is no non-terminal on the right hand side, then the production can have just a terminal on the right hand side. So A and B belongs to V, so A and B are non-terminals or variables, whereas X belongs, it's basically a string formed from terminal string. Okay, now as a convention, please remember in the productions, non-terminals or also called as variables, they are always written using capital alphabets. Okay, now if there is any term that is written as a small alphabet, or if it is a number, or if it's some operators, or it can be something like brackets and so on. So anything apart from capital alphabet is always treated as a terminal. Right? Now this X was small here, small case here. That's why I said X is a terminal. Whereas everything that is written in capital alphabet is a non-terminal, and anything apart from capital alphabet, it could be small alphabet, it could be numbers, it could be something like commas, brackets, operators like plus, minus, anything apart from capital alphabet, all of them are considered as terminals. Having understood what is left linear grammar and what is right linear grammar, now let us come back and define what is regular grammar. A regular grammar is the one that is either right linear or if it is a left linear. So which means, example, you see, suppose this is a grammar whose productions are these. These are the productions. S gives AA or S gives B. Remember, this means or. What I have written here is a cascaded style. This one production actually is a combination of two productions. S gives AA, and the second production is S gives B. So these two productions, since the left hand side non-terminal is same, can be cascaded together into one statement like this, one production like this, where this slash means or. This is one independent term, this is one independent term. Similarly here, right? Now you see this particular production, this term, is it right linear or left linear? There is at most one non-terminal, and that too on the rightmost side. So this is right linear. Now in the second production, S gives B, there is no non-terminal appearing on the right hand side. There is a single terminal string. So this is also you can either consider that as right linear or left linear. So since I am considering this as a right linear, this is also right linear. So both are right linear. Similarly here, B appears on the rightmost side of the term. So this is a right linear. And A gives A, small a is also right linear. B gives small a is also right linear. So all of them, they are right linear. Okay, all the terms here are right linear because they appear on the rightmost side. Okay, so these are right linear productions. Okay, where now let's see if these are the productions, what is VTSP? The set of variables in this grammar whose productions are given here. Set of variables are S is a variable, A is another variable, B is another variable. So non-terminals or variables are only three: capital S, capital A, capital B. Looking at this set of productions, which are the terminals? Looking at this, small a and small b, they are the only two terminals which we have. Which is the start symbol? Now how to find out the start symbol? S can be a start symbol, A also can be a start symbol, or B also can be a start symbol. But how to identify the start symbol? Okay, so you see the production. From this production, are you able to reach this as well as this production? Okay, so from S, I can get capital A, right? Now from A, I can reach B, but can I reach S? No. Right? Similarly, from B, I can neither reach S or A. It is only this S through which I can reach this this capital A, and then from capital A further you can reach B. So from S you can reach capital A, and then from capital A you can reach B. Okay, so S happens to be the start symbol and not A and B. Right? So S is a start symbol, and set of productions here are S gives AA, then S gives B, A gives BB, and A gives A and B gives A. So these are the set of production. So this is that grammar G that we have defined, where V is this, T is this, S is this, and these are the productions. Therefore, I may say that the given language is a regular language because the grammar here is a right linear grammar. So if the grammar is only right linear or only left linear, then it's a regular grammar. So I can say that this is a regular grammar because all the productions are right linear productions in this, right? Now, all the strings which are formed from this grammar, okay, which are the different strings that are formed from this grammar? For example, if I consider a string called as AA, now can this string AA be derived from this grammar? Let's see. So I start from the start production. From S, I can either get AA or B. Now since the term that is required by me is small a, I will not substitute S with small b, rather I will substitute S with AA. So I substitute S with AA. Okay. Further, so I have got the first A. Now this A somehow should be replaced with A. Now A can be replaced with B capital B or small a. I just want a single A. So then this can be further written as AA. This A I have replaced with A. So am I getting the string from the start symbol and by doing the replacements? Yes, I am getting this string. So I can say that this string belongs to the grammar. So this string, so when you consider the language, regular language for this, AA will be one possible string. So that will be element of this particular regular language set. Similarly, you may take another language, another string you may take. For example, you can take something like say B. Suppose B is a string. Now, is B belonging to the language? Yes, because right from the start symbol I can directly replace it with B. So B is another valid string or valid string in the language, right? And so on. Suppose whichever language, whichever strings which are possible to be generated from the start symbol, okay, through replacing the left hand side every time with the right hand side of the productions. The language that you get this way, this language is a regular language for this particular regular grammar.